Hello, and welcome to a button bookmark craft, hosted by the Greater Sudbury Public Library. Make sure you have an adult with you since we'll be using a hot gun and a needle today. For the first bookmark, you will need a ribbon, an elastic, a button, a needle and thread, and some scissors. For the second bookmark, you'll simply need a paper clip, a button, preferably one without holes, a glue gun, and glue sticks. And lastly, for the paperclip bookmark, I suggest cutting a piece of felt around the button that you can use to hide the glue behind the bookmark. First thing you're going to need is to cut your ribbon. So take a smaller size book, that way your bookmark will fit multiple sizes of books. If you measure it with a smaller book, you'll have better options with using it as a bookmark for all different sizes. Wrap the ribbon around the book and overlap the ribbon over the other end. That way it gives you extra room to play with while you're sewing the pieces together. Once you get a better idea of how much ribbon you need, you'll be able to cut it off before sewing your pieces together. The next step will be to sew the elastic onto the ribbon. So get your thread through the needle and start sewing the elastic onto the ribbon. Once you have your thread onto the needle, you're going to tie a knot at the end of the thread. Tie a couple knots, that way it doesn't go through the ribbon when you'll be sewing. So the next step, you will take the elastic and put it onto the ribbon on the one end, and then you're going to wrap the ribbon around the elastic to hold it in place, and then you're going to sew that part together. Once you've sewn across the ribbon to keep the elastic in place, you can tie a couple knots and cut off any excess thread that you have. The next step, you will take your book to wrap the ribbon around to see how much ribbon you'll need for the next step. When you wrap your ribbon around the book, you're going to want a really good stretch between the elastic and the other end of the ribbon, which is where the button will sit. If you have too much ribbon, make sure you cut some of it off. And you want to be able to stretch your elastic to the other end of the ribbon. You don't want it too close together. Once you have cut off the excess ribbon, it's time to sew your button onto the other end of your ribbon. Once you're done sewing your button on, make sure you tie a couple knots and cut off your excess thread. Now it's time to test out your bookmark. Now on to the second bookmark. This one is very simple, and it is simply a button, a paper clip, and some hot glue. Once your glue gun is warmed up, start by taking your paper clip and get your button ready, preferably a button without holes, and put some glue on the back of the button. At this point, you can add more glue on top, and if you have a piece of felt like I mentioned at the beginning, this is where you would stick it on the back to hide all of the glue. I did not have felt, so I did not do this, but I would suggest doing it to give it a cleaner look. Here we have it, our finished products. I hope you enjoyed this bookmark craft. See you next time.